Horror.
What, zombies, blood and guts, devil worshipping? Ugh, who even watches that? Jump scares. Ghosts freak me out.
Why?
What's up, spookies? So many things I love I feel like I need to defend all the time. Comic books, professional wrestling, cartoons, schmaltzy 70s and 80s adult contemporary music, and horror. Why watch horror? Why write horror? What kind of sick mind even thinks this stuff up?
I do.
Ready? Defense of the genre in 3, 2, 1. There's something fascinating about the horror genre. Like, this is something we shouldn't be seeing. There's a little thrill to horror. It's a little voyeuristic, kind of edgy, a little naughty. Even as a kid, I enjoyed it. I loved Nightmare on Elm Street. I watched that when I was probably too young to be watching it. And I remember I would draw Freddy Krueger's face and I would tape it to the mirror, thinking somebody would look in the mirror and be scared out of their mind by this terrible little kid drawing of Freddy Krueger. And the weird thing is I was a scared kid. I was very scared of everything. I was paranoid that if goodnight wasn't the last thing I said, something terrible would happen to my parents. I thought there were monsters outside of these giant windows we had in my living room. I was afraid to look outside the window because we had a street light just on the corner, and I always imagined this Grim Reaper just standing there staring at me, so I was a pretty scared kid. I always thought my house was haunted. I thought lights went on when they should have been off. Even as an adult, I'm still kind of a scaredy cat. I'm afraid of ghosts. I have a weird thing about mirrors, especially at night. I don't want to look at them just in case there's something behind me that's not supposed to be there. But oddly enough, I still kind of seek this stuff out. I enjoy that feeling of being scared. I think movies and books and games, they're all about kind of forcing that emotion. You know, we go seek out something because we want to feel a certain way. Some people love dramas. They love to see a movie that they know they're going to cry at and they need to bring their Kleenex to. Some people enjoy comedies because they want to laugh. They want something that's going to make them feel great. Yearning, sadness, laughter, and fear. A good scare makes you feel alive, and we want that shot of adrenaline, that excitement, that rush that we get from a good shock to the system. We want that disturbing image stuck in our heads. The red door in The Haunting of Hill House, or the bear suit at the end of Midsommar, the neighbor's apartment at the end of Rosemary's Baby. We want to see these weird things that we kind of ask ourselves, how did I get there? What am I looking at right now? This is really disturbing and strange, but it's somehow enticing too. I've developed a few projects before that kind of dabbed into scary territory, nothing I've really published, and this will be my first real stab at full-on horror, this webcomic that I'm doing. I want to fill it with that sense of, wow, this is a little off. Recognizably human, but strange. A little off-kilter, that sense of dread and foreboding. Just that touch of evilness. People try real hard to kind of bury that sense of evilness down. Some people don't want to acknowledge that it exists, and they spend a lifetime trying to erase any hint of it. But we're all a mixed bag, right? We're happy, we're sad, we like certain things, we hate certain things. It's just part of human emotion. It's part of that spectrum of being a human being. To pretend we're 100% positive all the time is a lie. And I think there's a little perverse satisfaction in seeing the id displayed on screen or on paper. To see somebody acknowledge these kind of dark thoughts that we don't want to acknowledge exist. Art is the perfect place to let that stuff out. The brand of horror I'm interested in is a very human horror. Like, I'm planning this as I would any full literary novel, with well-rounded characters, with a full scale of emotions, and just that bonus of otherworldly influence. I want to create that sense of what am I reading right now? What am I looking at? I want to get that sense of that's something I've never seen before. Or that's a thought I've never had. I think, who is this person that's thought of that weird, strange thing is the ultimate compliment when you're working in horror. Like a great character study that can get deeper into the character by making the abstract and the emotional real and physical and terrifying. Taking that inner world of a character and pulling it into the outer world and painting your entire scene with these emotions and these abstract feelings. Have you ever woken up from a nightmare and you can't get rid of that feeling? Like it lasts with you through the morning and you're in this spacey fog and you're still kind of just half in this dream state. You can still feel the teeth tumbling around in your mouth and falling out of it. Fear is such an arrow right to the heart and right to the brain. The frightening can bypass that BS detector that a lot of us have. If you can scare somebody, you shut out the cynic. They believe. If you do it right and you make something scary and unsettling, then the proof is in the pudding. I remember staying up until 4 a.m. when I was finishing Stephen King's The Dark Tower. I had spent months reading these books, 7 books, and I finally got to the last one. And the entire time you're wondering what's in the friggin' tower. Roland and his quartet spend 7 books trying to get to this tower, and that's where all the answers are. And you finally get there, and he's going up those stairs, and it's the last pages, and it's so haunting and creepy, and it's just him. He's all by himself. He's lost all of his friends and family and followers, and it's just him in this tower going up the stairs. And I honestly can't say it's the greatest ending in the world, but it was deeply unsettling to the point that I stayed up until 4 a.m. on a work night and couldn't sleep. And I remember spending the next day just thinking about that tower and being completely haunted by it. I want to write that kind of thing. I want to make those images like Junji Ito. Images that are so unique and disturbing that they just kind of burn a little place into your brain and sit there for a while. I'm excited. I want to take off the gloves. I want to get weird. I want to let loose. I want to be creative. I want to make something certainly that nobody's ever seen me make before. And they say, oh, I didn't know you had that in them. That's different. I want to write a story that you can't look away from. I want to create a world that you just need to explore. And every time you turn the page, you wonder, am I going to see something as weird on this page as I saw on the last one? And if I can pull that off, I think I will have written something that's truly undeniable. And horror, as much as anything, gives you the chance to write something that's emotional and impactful and chock full of meaning and symbolism that can really infest itself into the brain and create something that's never been there before. It's an exciting challenge, and I can't wait to see what I create. So some last thoughts on the subject. I think horror as a genre, as a form of art, is important. I think it's important that we release that id, that we acknowledge that darker side. I think it's okay to have fun with that. I think it's important for teenagers to go through that phase where they discover the weird stuff and the darker side of art. I think there's a lot of acknowledgement and relief in finding those things and going, okay, I'm not the only person that's into this stuff. There's a whole culture out there. And I think it's important to acknowledge that and not bury it. Now, it's okay to say, these things scare me and I don't like being scared. I mean, that's perfectly fine. And everybody has their own tastes. Person into the Julia Roberts romantic comedy, to completely date myself, may not be into Hellraiser, but it's a perfectly valid art form and a great one that I've always found a lot of enjoyment in, a lot of creativity that you just don't find anywhere else. So embrace horror and cheers to the sick minds. Horror is awesome. If I meet somebody and I find out they're into horror movies, I know that that's an interesting and cool person and we're going to get along. Yes, normal, everyday, well-balanced people love horror. They love scary movies. Sickos and weirdos love horror movies too, and you know what? They're awesome also. Everyone rolling their eyes at horror needs to get over themselves. All my fellow creators and writers, go out there, make your sickest, weirdest, darkest stuff, okay? I want to read it. Other people do too. Make it weird, make it dark, like, comment, subscribe. All those things help me. I'm trying to grow my channel through the year. This is a process. This is my third video. I'm going to keep doing these every week. Really looking for growth. So if you enjoyed this, spread the word. I really appreciate it. Definitely need word of mouth. And next week, I think I'm going to talk about structure, which is something that was lacking for me when I was working on Happy Face and the Emo Boy movie back in 2008. Everything was structure. I learned a lot and I'm going to pass that on next week. So make sure you subscribe. And as always, keep it spooky.
And as always, keep it spooky.